Son-in-law said, "Your house is perfect for my parents. They move tomorrow, so I prepared." My son-in-law tried to evict me, but he had no idea who he was dealing with. My name is Daniel Mitchell, 71 years old, a retired pastor from Meadowbrook, Texas. I thought I'd seen every kind of human cruelty and grace in my time, until my son-in-law, Tyler, decided to teach me otherwise. He walked into my home one Tuesday morning like he owned the place. Calm, confident, almost rehearsed. "My parents are moving in tomorrow," he said flatly. "You'll be relocated to assisted living. The moving truck's already booked. Strangers will pack your things." I stared at him from the same living room where I'd raised 47 foster children. Kids who had nowhere else to go, who'd found safety, warmth, and faith under this very roof. And now, this man, my daughter's husband, was evicting me like I was some unwanted tenant. What Tyler didn't know was that those 47 children had grown up. There were doctors, judges, CEOs, and military officers now. And every one of them still called me Dad. He was about to find out what happens when you try to take everything from the man who gave those kids a second chance at life. Tyler had it all planned out with military precision. Announcement on Tuesday, packing by Friday, eviction on Saturday. I let him finish his speech, then quietly reach for my phone. If you're watching this, I'd later say to my viewers, subscribe and tell me where you're from, because what happened next will restore your faith in what real family truly means. By Saturday morning, my quiet Texas street looked like a Fortune 500 parking lot. Tyler was about to receive the lesson of a lifetime. For 3 years, he dismissed me, ever since marrying my daughter, Maris. From the start, he made it clear he didn't see me as real family. "You're not her biological father," he'd remind her whenever she stood up for me. "You just happened to be there when she needed someone. Just happened to be there." As if taking in a traumatized 7-year-old girl and raising her for 11 years was some kind of coincidence. Tyler saw only what he wanted to see: an old pastor driving a beat-up 2007 Honda Civic, shopping at thrift stores, living modestly on a $34,000 salary. What he didn't see was the wall in my hallway, 237 graduation photos spanning 25 years. High school, college, med school, law school. Proof of lives rebuilt. Proof of love that never quit. But Tyler never asked about them. "Dan, you should think about downsizing," he'd say, pretending to care. "This place is too big for one person. My parents could really use the space." Maris would glare at him, but he never stopped. "Let's be practical. You're 71. You don't need 3 bedrooms. My dad's retiring soon, and their lease is ending. This house would be perfect for them. Perfect for them." As if I hadn't spent decades making it perfect for children who arrived with nothing but a trash bag of clothes and broken trust. Every time I said, "We'll see," Tyler mistook my silence for surrender. He thought I was weak, just an old man waiting for permission to fade away. 2 weeks before his big announcement, he showed up again, this time with a real estate brochure. "I found you the perfect senior living community," he said, spreading glossy photos across my kitchen table. "Set gardens. It's only 15 minutes from your church. Meals, activities, everything you need." I looked at those pictures of tiny studio apartments and shared dining halls, the kind of place people go when the world's done with them. "Tyler," I said calmly, "I'm not interested in moving." He sighed impatiently. "Come on, be reasonable. You're rattling around in this big house by yourself. My parents could take over the payments. It's a win-win." He smiled, thinking he'd already won. But what he didn't know was that I'd already started making phone calls. Because I wasn't alone. Those 47 kids I'd raised, the ones he never cared to know about, were coming home. And by Saturday morning, he was going to learn the difference between having family and being family. This house wasn't just wooden walls. It was a sanctuary. It was the heart of something bigger than Tyler could ever comprehend. Since 1994, 47 children had walked through that front door, some staying months, others years, but all leaving with one truth. Family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up when it matters. And Tyler Brooks was about to learn that the hard way. Why son-in-law tried to take my home, but he didn't know what this house truly meant. Every single child who left my home walked away knowing one thing. They were loved, wanted, and capable of greatness. The same living room where Tyler wanted to place his parents' recliners. That's where Amanda Rodriguez spent 4 years doing her homework. She came to me at 13 after being bounced from home to home. Nobody wanted a teenager with anger issues and failing grades. Last year, she completed her pediatric surgery residency at Dallas Children's Medical Center, the kitchen where Tyler's mother planned to cook her Sunday roasts. That's where Marcus Williams learned to make pancakes when he was 9. He was terrified of men, hiding in closets for weeks after arriving. Today, he's a federal judge in Washington, D.C., and the master bedroom Tyler thought would be perfect for his parents. That's where Patricia Johnson recovered from a pneumonia that almost killed her at 12. She'd spent years in the system because no one wanted to handle her medical needs. She's now the CEO of a $40 million tech company. Every room in this house held stories Tyler couldn't begin to understand. Every corner represented a life rebuilt, a child who finally believed they mattered. But this home wasn't just a museum of memories. It was still alive. 3 months earlier, I'd received an emergency foster placement. Emma Chun, 8 years old, had lost both parents in a car accident. The state needed a temporary home until they found a permanent family. She was sleeping in what Tyler called the spare bedroom. To her, it was the first place she'd felt safe since the accident. So when Tyler talked about turning my home into his parents' retirement nest, all I could think was, if I give this up, where does Emma go? Where do the next children go when they need sanctuary? To Tyler, this house was a piece of real estate. To me, it was a lifeline that had already saved 47 children and was still saving more. Financially, the situation was simple. My 30-year mortgage was nearly paid off. Only $18,000 left on a property now worth $280,000. If Tyler's plan went through, his parents would effectively gain a $250,000 home for the price of a year's rent. But the real stakes were far deeper than money. For 3 decades, this home had been the heart of my family. Every Christmas, Thanksgiving, graduation, and wedding had happened right here. Even after they grew up, the kids still came home. Last Christmas, 23 of them returned. Doctors from Seattle, lawyers from Chicago, teachers from California. My house was filled with laughter, hugs, and stories. It was their home as much as mine. And Tyler wanted to erase that, all for his parents' comfort. There was another thing he didn't understand, my foster care license. The state of Texas had approved me for emergency placements, meaning I could take in children at a moment's notice. But that license was tied to this specific address. If I gave up this home, I'd lose that privilege. No more emergency placements. No more sanctuary. No more second chances for children who needed one. Tyler wasn't just asking me to move. He was asking me to abandon my calling, to shut down a 30-year mission that had given hope to dozens of kids. And worst of all, he wanted me to evict an 8-year-old girl who'd already lost everything. Also, his parents could have a bigger living room. But the emotional cost went even deeper. Maris, my daughter, my first adoption, was the heart of all this. Her birth parents lost custody when she was 7. She'd spent 6 months in emergency care before she came to live with me. At first, she barely spoke. She'd flinch if someone raised their voice. It took years of patience and love before she finally called me dad. And now, her husband was trying to tell her that bond didn't matter. That biology was everything. That the man who'd raised her, loved her, and built her future was just disposable. If I gave in, what message would that send? To Maris? To all 47 of my children? That love and loyalty were temporary? That family could be replaced the moment it became inconvenient? No, that wasn't going to happen. This wasn't just about keeping a house. It was about protecting a legacy, defending a family, and standing for something sacred. Tyler thought he was dealing with a frail old man who'd crumble under pressure. He was about to learn just how wrong he was. October 15th started like any other Sunday. Maris had invited Tyler's parents over for dinner after church. I made my usual pot roast with vegetables from my small backyard garden. Tyler's father, Robert Brooks, was a good man, a retired insurance adjuster who'd worked hard all his life. His mother, Linda, had been a school secretary until arthritis forced her to retire early. They weren't bad people. They just believed, as Tyler did, that blood ties defined family. We were sitting around the dining table when Tyler finally made his move. "Dad, Mom," he began, glancing at his parents. "I've been talking to Dan about his housing situation." Maris immediately stiffened. She knew that tone. Tyler pulled out a manila folder and placed it on the table between the mashed potatoes and green beans. "Dan's been thinking about downsizing, haven't you?" he said, looking at me with that fake smile of his. "This house is really too much for one person to manage." "Tyler," Maris warned softly. "Let me finish, honey. This affects everyone," he insisted. He opened the folder like a salesman unveiling his best pitch: glossy brochures of assisted living facilities, Sunset Gardens, Golden Years Community, Peaceful Meadows Retirement Village. Each photo showed smiling seniors playing chess, painting, or eating in spotless dining rooms. "The beauty of this arrangement," Tyler continued, "is that everyone benefits. Dan gets the care and social interaction he needs. You too," he said to his parents, "get a beautiful home with 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, and no mortgage payments. The house stays in the family." He paused on that last line, letting it sink in. The house stays in the family. His tone made it clear what kind of family he meant. Maris's fork clinked against her plate. "Tyler, we haven't discussed this." He smiled like she just missed the obvious. "We don't need to discuss it, sweetheart. Sometimes adults have to make difficult decisions." He turned back to his parents, confident, smug, and completely unaware that the table was about to turn. "I've already spoken with Sunset Gardens," Tyler said confidently, sliding a stack of papers across the table. "They have availability next month." Linda Brooks looked at me with real concern. "Daniel, is this what you want? You've been in this house for 30 years. Before I could speak, Tyler jumped in smoothly. "He's been thinking about it for months, Mom. Haven't you, Dan?" His eyes locked on mine, daring me to contradict him. "Face it," he added, his voice tightening. "You're not Maris's real father. When you're gone, this house will naturally pass to her, and then to us. We're just expediting the process while everyone can still benefit." The silence that followed was suffocating. Maris's face went white. "Tyler," she whispered, "how dare you? How dare I what? Tell the truth." His tone sharpened, the polite mask slipping away. "I'm not trying to be cruel, but let's be realistic. Dan did a kind thing taking you in, but that doesn't make him family. Blood makes family. Biology makes family. Real parents sacrifice for their own children." Robert Brooks shifted uneasily. "Son, that's not—" "Dad, please. I'm handling this," Tyler cut him off. Then he turned back to me with the calm arrogance of a man explaining something obvious to a child. "Dan, you raised Maris, and we're grateful. But she's married now. She has a real family to think about. My parents are getting older. They need help. You need care. It's perfect timing." I set my fork down and studied him. The same man who had sat at my table for 3 years, eaten my food, shared my holidays, smiled through my prayers, while secretly planning to take everything I loved. "Tyler," I said quietly, "when you say real family, what exactly do you mean?" He blinked, surprised. "I mean people who are actually related. People with shared genetics. Natural family bonds." "I see," I said slowly. "And the people in those photos on my wall? The graduates, the wedding portraits, the Christmas cards from 23 states. What are they, then?" Tyler shrugged. "They're nice memories, Dan, but they're not family. They were temporary placements. You did your good deed, but it's time to be practical." Maris stood abruptly. "I can't listen to this." "Sit down, honey. Let the adults finish," Tyler said dismissively, not even looking at her. He turned back to me, completely in control, or so he thought. "Dan, I've already prepared the paperwork. The moving truck will be here Tuesday morning. Sunset Gardens is expecting you Wednesday. A clean, simple transition." "The moving truck," I repeated, my voice calm. "Tuesday at 9? "Exactly," he said, smiling like he'd solved everyone's problems. 3 days should be plenty of time to pack what you want to keep. The furniture can stay with the house." That's when it hit me. He planned everything. The timeline, the logistics, even my supposed approval. He decided the course of my life without ever asking what I wanted. He saw an old man. I saw a fool who had no idea who he was provoking. I signed every one of Maris's report cards for 12 years, I said quietly. Tyler smirked. That doesn't make you family. Blood does. I looked at this arrogant young man and smiled. I understand completely, Tyler. Let me make a few phone calls. The satisfaction flickered in his eyes. He thought he'd won. He had no idea what was coming. After dinner, Tyler and his parents left looking smug, certain the house would be theirs within days. Maris stayed behind, pacing the living room like a caged bird. Dad, I'm so sorry, she said, tears streaking her face. I had no idea he was planning any of this. I can't believe he said those things about you, about us. It's not your fault, sweetheart. But it is. I married him. I brought him into our lives. And now he's trying to take everything that matters to you. I hug her tightly. Don't worry about Tyler. He doesn't understand what he's dealing with. Deacon Miller, who'd known me since my first sermon in Meadowbrook, rose slowly. Tyler, I'm confused. Dan serves on 3 committees, teaches Bible study every week, volunteers at the food bank. What exactly are you seeing that we're not? Tyler smiled condescendingly. With respect, sir, you're seeing what Dan wants you to see. The truth is, he's no longer Maris's legal guardian. His foster days are long over. He served his purpose, and now it's time for him to step aside gracefully. The room grew cold. Furthermore, Tyler continued, his voice growing stronger with each word. Dan's relationship with Maris was always temporary. Foster care is a service, not a family bond. She has a real family now, me, my parents, and someday our children. Dan's been kind, but biology comes first. Tyler, stop, Maris pleaded. Honey, I know this is emotional, he said with fake patience, but someone has to speak the truth. He turned back to the congregation. I've already arranged for professional care for Dan at Sunset Gardens. Tyler straightened his tie and announced, my parents will take over Dan's house, ensuring it stays within the actual family structure. The transition happens this weekend. He said it like he was announcing a bake sale. Casual, final, and completely heartless. Pastor Williams looked stunned. Tyler, this seems like something that should be discussed privately. Pastor, I appreciate your concern, Tyler replied, his tone clipped and self-assured. But sometimes private discussions don't work. Dan's been resistant to change, which is understandable. Elderly people often struggle with transitions. But I have a responsibility to my wife and my parents to make practical decisions. That's when Mrs. Henderson, 5 feet tall and full of righteous fury, stood up. Young man, she said sharply, I've known Daniel Mitchell for 30 years. I've watched him raise 47 children nobody else wanted. I've seen him at hospital bedsides, graduations, and weddings. Don't you dare stand in this church and tell us he's not real family to those children. A ripple of agreement swept through the congregation. Tyler's jaw tightened. Ma'am, I understand your emotional attachment to Dan's service, but emotion doesn't change biology. Those children were temporary placements, good deeds, service projects. They've moved on. Maris is married now. It's time for realistic decisions about the future. Deacon Miller rose to his feet, his face red with anger. Son, you're talking about a man who's dedicated his entire life to children in need. Show some respect. I'm showing respect, Tyler snapped. I'm respecting reality. My parents raised 3 biological children. They deserve consideration. Blood relatives should have priority over temporary arrangements. The room erupted in whispers and outrage. I looked around at familiar faces, friends, neighbors, people who'd known me for decades, staring in disbelief. Tyler raised his voice to be heard above the murmurs. I know this is uncomfortable, but someone has to say it. Dan played a nice role in Maris's childhood, but playtime is over. Adult responsibilities require adult decisions. The moving truck comes Saturday morning. Saturday morning. He'd moved up the timeline. Pastor Williams tried to step in. Tyler, I think we need to table this discussion. There's nothing to discuss, Pastor, Tyler insisted. The arrangements are made. The paperwork is signed. Dan understands this is best for everyone. All eyes turned to me. 43 people, waiting to see how I would respond to this public humiliation. Would I fight back? Would I defend myself? Or would I crumble under the weight of his arrogance? I stood slowly, feeling the weight of every child I'd raised and every battle I'd fought to give them a future. Tyler's right about one thing, I said quietly. It's time for realistic decisions. Tyler's smirk spread across his face. He thought I was surrendering. I need to make a few phone calls, I added. And I think this congregation is about to see what real family actually looks like. The smirk vanished. Because you're right, Tyler, playtime is over. Thursday morning, my phone started ringing at 6 a.m. Dad. Amanda's voice was crisp, the tone of a surgeon used to coordinating emergencies. I just got off a conference call with Marcus and Patricia. We're mobilizing the family. Amanda, you don't need to. Dad, stop. This isn't negotiable. Nobody disrespects you like that and walks away clean. Over the next hour, the calls poured in. Marcus phoned from Washington, his federal judge authority evident even through the line. Patricia called from Silicon Valley, already coordinating logistics with CEO precision. Dr. Stephen Murphy from Seattle arranged to fly on Friday night. By noon, my quiet home had become mission control for an operation I hadn't authorized, but couldn't stop. Dad, we need a full list, Amanda said during her third call. Everyone who could travel needs to know. Honey, this is between Tyler and me, I protested. You all have your own lives. Our own lives? Patricia cut in from California. Dad, you gave us our lives. Every success we've achieved started in that house, with you believing in us when no one else would. Marcus's voice joined in from D.C. She's right. Amanda, what's the timeline? Tyler announced Saturday morning for the move. Amanda replied. I'm thinking we arrive Friday evening. Full family present Saturday morning. Agreed, Marcus said firmly. I can get 17 people from the East Coast. Add 12 from California and the Northwest, Patricia added. Stephen's coordinating another 8 from the Midwest. I listened, overwhelmed. These weren't broken children anymore. These were powerful, capable adults, my children, organizing with military precision to defend their father. By Friday afternoon, the first cars began arriving. Dr. Amanda Rodriguez pulled up in a silver Mercedes at 3 p.m., still wearing surgical scrubs. She hugged me tightly, her composure melting into childlike affection. Where is he, Dad? This Tyler character? At work, I assume, I said softly. Good. Dallas is only 2 hours away. I've flown farther for lesser emergencies. She looked around my home, her eyes softening. It looks exactly the same. God, the memories. 20 minutes later, Judge Marcus Williams arrived in a black town car with government plates. At 35, he carried himself with calm authority, a far cry from the terrified 9-year-old who once hid in my closets. Dad, he said, embracing me firmly. I reviewed Texas property law on the drive. What Tyler's doing has zero legal standing. Want me to shut this down right now? Let's see what tomorrow brings, I told him. By 6 p.m., my driveway looked like a luxury car dealership. Mercedes, BMWs, Teslas, Lexuses. Neighbors peeked through curtains, whispering. Dr. Stephen Murphy arrived next, flying in on a private jet with his wife and twin daughters. Dad, the girls wanted to meet their grandfather, he said, lifting 2 bright-eyed 8-year-olds who called me Grandpa Dan like they'd known me forever. Professor Janet Richardson from Harvard arrived with her husband and teenage son. Detective Lieutenant Carlos Santos drove down from Dallas, still carrying the quiet intensity that had made him one of the city's most respected investigators. Captain Maria Gonzalez showed up in full Air Force uniform, having taken emergency leave. Patricia Johnson, now a Fortune 500 CEO, stepped out of a chauffeur-driven SUV, radiant and composed. By nightfall, 23 adults and 12 children fill my modest home. The same living room Tyler wanted for his parents' recliners now buzzed with laughter and stories. Remember when Dad made us change the oil in the driveway? Carlos laughed. I swore I'd never need to know that. Amanda grinned. He said independence starts with knowing how to handle life's basics. Marcus nodded. And budgeting lessons every Friday night. You can't build wealth if you don't understand money, remember? Patricia pulled out her phone and showed a picture. Dad, I named our main conference room the Daniel Mitchell Innovation Center. Your quote's on the wall in bronze. Believe in impossible things. They weren't showing off. They were paying tribute to the man who'd raised them, believed in them, and changed their lives forever. Maris moved through the crowd, amazed. Patricia, I can't believe you run a $40 million company. Patricia smiled. Dad always said we were capable of greatness. He made us believe it. Dr. Murphy looked around the room, voice thick with emotion. Dad, you should have seen the reaction in the hospital when I told them why I was taking emergency leave. You've got grandchildren across the country who consider this house sacred ground. As the evening went on, the mood shifted from nostalgia to strategy. So, Amanda said, setting down her glass, what's the plan for tomorrow? Judge Williams leaned forward, expression focused. Let's make sure Tyler Brooks learns the difference between blood family and real family. Simple. Tyler expected to find a weak old man ready to surrender his home. Instead, he was about to meet 47 successful adults, each one a testament to the man he'd tried to belittle. The house he called just property was, to them, sacred ground. What time did he say the movers would arrive? Patricia asked. 9 a.m., I replied. Captain Gonzalez checked her watch with military precision. Perfect. We'll be in position by 8:30. Full family presence. Professional attire. Peaceful, but unmistakable. Carlos nodded. I like it. No threats. No yelling. Just the truth standing in his driveway. And what truth is that? Maris asked. Marcus spoke quietly. That dad didn't raise 47 children. He raised 47 adults who protect their own. Amanda stood, her voice steady but burning with resolve. Tyler wanted to know what real family looks like. Tomorrow morning, he'll get his education. By 10 p.m., most of my children had checked in nearby hotels, but several insisted on staying the night. Amanda took her old room. Marcus crashed on the living room couch he'd claimed as his years ago, and Patricia set up her laptop in the kitchen to manage West Coast calls. It felt like Christmas Eve, except instead of gifts, we were preparing to defend our home. Lying in bed, I listened to their laughter echo through the halls. Tyler had made one critical mistake. He saw an old man living alone in a big, empty house. What he didn't see was the heart of a family that stretched across 23 states. Doctors, judges, CEOs, professors, officers, and detectives. People who'd spent their lives proving that love builds stronger bonds than blood ever could. Tomorrow morning, Tyler Brooks would learn the difference between being related and being family. Tomorrow morning, he'd face 47 accomplished adults standing shoulder to shoulder. Tomorrow morning, he'd find out what happens when you threaten the man who saved their lives. Saturday dawned crisp and clear. I woke at 5:30 to the smell of coffee and bacon. Amanda was already in the kitchen, just like when she was 16. Big day, Dad. You ready? I smiled faintly and looked outside. The sight took my breath away. By 8 a.m., Meadowbrook Street had transformed. 47 luxury cars lined both sides. Mercedes, BMWs, Teslas, and Lexuses, worth more than $3 million combined. But the cars weren't the statement. The people were. 47 adults stood in perfect formation across my lawn, dressed in professional attire, every one of them representing a life I'd once helped rebuild. Dr. Amanda Rodriguez wore her white coat, a stethoscope draped around her neck. Judge Marcus Williams stood tall in a charcoal suit. CEO Patricia Johnson radiated boardroom confidence in her tailor blazer. Captain Gonzalez had organized them by profession, medical experts to the left, legal professionals in the center, business leaders to the right, educators and public servants filling the spaces between. Each held a small sign. Dr. Stephen Murphy, Chief of Orthopedic Surgery. Professor Janet Richardson, Harvard Law School. Detective Lieutenant Carlos Santos, Dallas PD. Major General Patricia Davis, U.S. Army. CEO Michael Thompson, Thompson Industries. 47 signs. 47 lives. All of them began in the house behind me. By 8:45, neighbors started peeking out. Mrs. Peterson stood frozen on her porch. The Williams family gathered by their window, whispering. The street buzzed with confusion and awe. Something extraordinary was unfolding at Daniel Mitchell's home. At 8:57, Tyler's pickup turned onto the block. From my window, I watched his smug confidence melt away. First confusion, then disbelief, then sheer panic. He had to park 3 blocks away because every inch of the street was packed. He and his parents walked slowly toward the house, eyes darting between the cars and the silent crowd of professionals. Behind them, the moving truck stopped at the corner, unable to come any closer. Tyler froze at the edge of my property. 47 pairs of eyes turned toward him, calm, composed, unwavering. Dr. Rodriguez stepped forward, her voice firm and steady. "You must be Tyler Brooks." Tyler's mouth opened, but no words came out. "I'm Dr. Amanda Rodriguez, Chief of Pediatric Surgery at Dallas Children's Medical Center." She gestured toward the crowd. "These are my brothers and sisters." Judge Marcus Williams stepped up beside her. Marcus Williams, Federal District Court, Washington, D.C. CEO Patricia Johnson joined them. Patricia Johnson, Innovate Tech Solutions. One by one, they introduced themselves. Each title, each accomplishment hit Tyler like a blow. Dr. Michael Chun, Cardiothoracic Surgery, Mayo Clinic. Professor Maris Davis, MIT, Engineering. Colonel James Rodriguez, U.S. Air Force. CEO Jennifer Murphy, Murphy Construction, $200 million annual revenue. Tyler's expression twisted between shock and humiliation. Amanda met his eyes. "We understand you have some questions about our father's living situation." "Your father?" Tyler stammered. "Yes," she said, her tone sharp as glass. "Daniel Mitchell, the man who raised us, the man who saved our lives, the man you think should be moved out of his own home so your parents can take it." The crowd shifted slightly. No hostility, just strength. A united front. Judge Williams opened a leather portfolio. "I've reviewed your proposal, Mr. Brooks," he said coolly. "And legally speaking, it's fascinating. You're trying to remove a competent adult from his home based on what exactly?" The silence that followed was absolute. Only the sound of the morning breeze moved through the trees as Tyler finally realized. He wasn't just facing an old man. He was facing a family, a legacy, a fortress built on love and loyalty that no paperwork could ever dismantle. Tyler's voice trembled. "He's old. He lives alone. My parents need, your parents need." Patricia Johnson cut him off, her CEO tone sharp enough to slice through steel. "Let me tell you what our father needs. He needs respect for the 30 years he spent raising children everyone else forgot. He needs recognition for the 47 lives he saved. And he deserves acknowledgement that love and sacrifice matter far more than biology." Tyler looked helplessly toward the moving truck still stuck 3 blocks away. "You don't understand. Maris is my wife. This is a family matter." "You're absolutely right," Amanda said, stepping forward. "It is a family matter." She gestured to the crowd behind her. 47 children, 12 grandchildren, and 3 great-grandchildren. All of us considered Daniel Mitchell our father, and this house our family home. Tyler blinked in disbelief. "But you're not really." "Not really what?" Colonel Rodriguez interrupted, his military posture rigid. "Not really family? I've called this man Dad for 22 years. He walked me down the aisle. My kids call him Grandpa. Tell me, what part of that isn't real?" Tyler's parents had gone pale. Linda Brooks turned to her husband and whispered, "Robert, what have we done?" Dr. Murphy addressed them directly. "Mr. and Mrs. Brooks, I don't think you understand what your son was asking Dan to give up. This isn't just a house. It's the heart of a family that stretches across the country. Every Christmas, every Thanksgiving, every birthday happens here. This is where broken children learned they were worthy of love." Robert Brooks stammered, "We didn't know." Tyler said he was alone, that he needed care. "Does he look like he needs care?" Professor Richardson asked, gesturing toward me as I stepped onto the porch. The crowd parted, making room for me in the center. I walked slowly down the steps and faced Tyler. "I believe you wanted to discuss my housing situation." Tyler looked around. The 47 professionals standing like sentinels, the row of luxury cars, the neighbors watching from their porches, the moving truck stranded down the street. His voice faltered. This isn't. This is exactly what it is, Amanda said firmly. This is what happens when you threaten our father. This is what real family looks like. Tyler's mouth moved, but no words came out. Just then, the moving truck driver approached, looking utterly confused. Sir, he called out to Tyler. We can't get through. Should we reschedule? Tyler stared at the driver, then at the crowd, then finally at me. The realization of what he'd done seemed to crush the air from his chest. Cancel it, he whispered. Judge Williams cupped his ear dramatically. I'm sorry, what was that? Cancel the truck. Tyler's voice cracked. Cancel everything. The man who had strutted into church days ago, demanding my home, now stood broken, defeated by the simple presence of my real family, the one that truly mattered. By noon, word of what happened had spread through Meadowbrook like wildfire. Someone had filmed the entire confrontation, and the video went viral within hours. Foster dads of 47 successful children defend family home hit 50,000 views by the end of the day. The comments poured in. Asterisk, this is what real family looks like. Asterisk, asterisk, foster parents are heroes. Asterisk, asterisk, that son-in-law got exactly what he deserved. Asterisk, but the fallout went far beyond social media. On Monday morning, Tyler walked into Brooks Construction, his father-in-law's company, only to find a pink slip waiting on his desk. I'm sorry, son, Robert Brooks told him heavily. After seeing what you did to that good man, I can't have you representing this company. The church renovation was our biggest project this year. Now, they won't even return my calls. Sure enough, First Baptist Church of Meadowbrook had canceled their $250,000 renovation contract. Pastor Williams made it clear. Anyone who would publicly humiliate a respected member of their congregation was not welcome on church property. But that was only the beginning. Tyler's marriage began unraveling that same weekend. Maris packed her things and moved back into my home, bringing little Emmett Chun with her, the 8-year-old foster child who had watched everything from the upstairs window. I can't be married to someone who'd treat you like that, Maris told me through tears. He showed me who he really is, and I don't like what I see. Marriage counseling lasted 2 sessions. Tyler spent both justifying himself, claiming he'd been practical about family priorities. The therapist noted his inability to admit fault or show genuine remorse. The divorce papers were filed within 6 weeks. And then came the social fallout. Tyler had lived in Meadowbrook his entire life, but after the video, he became a pariah. Everyone had seen it. The man who tried to take a foster father's home had become infamous.